Guys, Jack from Alpha Charts with a long view video. Today is April 2nd, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. Now, I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so a quick little recap of what the long view is. Basically, it's finding relative strength using weekly charts, looking, longer term time frames. Really, this video is made for really two people. One, people working full time that can't watch the market every day, every second of the day. I think that that using ETFs and longer time frames makes a lot of sense in order to potentially try to outperform the market, right? Also, if you're looking for relative strength, this is the relative strength video because it is showing you where the money is moving to, and even if you want individual names, the best part to start, to look at the sectors that are actually going up relative to the market. So really, two particular reasons for that. Again, another reason why we're using ETFs is that it minimizes the risk, right, of single stock holding. Again, if you're working full time, that makes sense. My chart setup, we have an 8-week EMA, and then we have a 13-week EMA. That's to help identify a trend. And then once trend is established, I do use the 13-week as my area to potentially stop against. Down here is the Trader Lion relative strength line on TradingView. I'm using that to tell me whether it's outperforming or not. You see it is set to the SPX. So there is that. Again, it's the direction that matters more than anything else. Okay, so we're looking for all of our all this together and looking for things that are outperforming. Okay, so I already did all the work for you, and now I'm ready to present it. We have 15 total ETFs to look at today. As you can see, and I talked about in my state of the market video, S&P, maybe it's a topping pattern, maybe it's ready to move higher, but really when you dig in deep, only certain sectors are really participating right now. And one of them is energy. So the first one on our list will be XOP, which has been outperforming now for a while. We have a beautiful trend going on in this name, and it is moving higher. You see that all the dips are being bought so far, at least. And so no reason to think that it wouldn't continue. Yeah, so I mean, if it goes sideways for another week or two, or potentially breaks above, 140-ish, place maybe to get long on that one. OIH has consolidated for now 4 weeks. So I like how it let the moving averages catch up. Right there, maybe concerning, maybe not. This is a pretty steep ascent, so maybe it just needs to go sideways and pop up, or this line is just needs to be like here or something. Point being is that as long as 254 holds, and actually what, there's a 200 week. I don't want that on here. It's off. All right, it's cleaner. Yeah, as long as 254 holds, I think it's a place to get long. So again, decide if it needs to move sideways. This needs to prove itself, but OIH still in an uptrend, relative basis. XES, very similar to OIH, and it is just moving sideways for 4 days. Now let's take a look at what's in these ETFs. They're all energy ETFs, and I forgot to do this at the beginning, so we'll hit it now. In the XOP, here it's basically an equal weight ETF, and here is its top holdings, but again, it's equal weighted. So you can see that. And now in OIH, which is cap weighted, so you see Schlumberger and Halliburton make up, 32% of this basically. So as they go, the ETF will go, which is probably why, if you look at SLV, it's kind of moved sideways, didn't do much. And Halliburton, okay, nice week this particular week, 9% move, very nice week. So you can see though why OIH, with them being way so high, has been moving sideways, based on the charts. So that looks good. And the Baker Hughes too, add that one in there, that's 40%. So anyway, so you take a look at that. Now XES is also an equal weight. I believe there's only 25 names in this particular one, and it weights it a little, its holdings are a little bit different. So that's why I have 3 different ones. I try not to do too much overlap, even though that's almost impossible not to do when you do relative strength work. So again, OAH looks like that. And then XES, again, looks like OIH, kind of sideways movement. Again, not doing anything wrong at this point. So we'll see if it continues higher or not. Just letting the moving averages catch up. And if you're, if you like the charts, maybe giving you a better place to manage risk against, right? So that is XES, and the last one is PXI. PXI. Now this one is interesting because it hasn't broken out yet. Lots of accumulation. Again, I'm always looking at liquidity to make sure that it's decent enough liquidity, which it is. Now PXI has LNG as its largest holdings, and again, a little bit different of a makeup in here. And it seems like it's doing really, really well. So there you go, PXI. Nice looking name here, and it hasn't quite broken out yet, right? And the inside week also, just so y'all know. That looks really good. And I'm gonna just pop this down here. PXI really caught my attention. PBJ. PBJ is the dynamic food and beverage ETF. And this one, again, we've talked about before, it kind of went sideways a little bit, kind of had this rough week right here, but now it's starting to break out and move higher. You see it on the relative strength. Really nice looking chart there. Archer Daniels Midland, which we're going to see in a bunch of other ETFs, Hershey, Constellation Branch, General Mills, Coke, Pepsi, Kroger, Cal-Maine Foods. They make eggs. They produce eggs, Mondelez, whatever. Lots of staples type names, right? And that's what XLP is. It's basically a staples ETF, and you see that it is outperforming and already moving higher there too. Really nice to see. All right. So again, it's still, I think, in a very viable range. So I'm going to write this one down too, as it's just starting to move higher. Next up, we're going to look at some materials. GDX, gold miners, 1, 2, 3, really 4 weeks in a range right now. But you can see that it's definitely moving higher, and move this out of the way. You could definitely see something like that. Right. It's definitely performing well. Still in a viable area, in my opinion. Looks really good, especially if it pulls back early in the week. That looks great. Actually, let's look at it. Sorry, I want to go too fast here. Newmont, Barrick Gold, Franco Nevada, and you can see all the other names in here. Again, very, very concentrated in the top 2 and 3 names, but just be aware of that. GDXJ, there's your downtrend, and it's trying to move higher. Again, we have to break out, but still the last 4 weeks kind of, chopping it away in an area. It's going to have to make a decision probably this week. I do like how it's nice bullish crossover on the moving averages. And it looks a little bit different. The juniors do. Pan American is its holdings. Again, not quite as concentrated in any one name. So it's kind of nice to see there. All right, next up is GUNR, the Natural Resources ETF. Again, you just see the outperformance here, right? And it's got this power trend going on there. Looking at what's in there, BHP, Nutrien, there's your Archer Daniels. I told you you'd be seeing that name again. So you not only do you have fertilizer names, you have oil names, you have mining names. I mean, just a really cool ETF. And it's got a similar one, again, plenty of liquid in GNR. And it is starting to move higher again, inside week. Nice to see there. And when you look at the holdings, again, the same basic holdings as GUNR, but slightly different makeup of them. So, you can decide which one you like better, right? More heavily weighted towards one way or the other way, right? And just so you see. Yeah, but very similar. So that's GNR. And then what else? Next up will be VAW. Again, so you see the uptrend here, longer term. You see that it's been maybe lower high. It does have to break out, but great looking setup on this one, right? Great looking setup. So it's hard to knock that if it breaks above 200-ish. I think it's place to manage risk against. Then you have the moving averages starting to get bullishly aligned and curling up. So that all looks good right there. That's VAW. And my dog is barking because people are coming home. XME. I'll play with it. VAW. Yeah, here's VAW. Sorry. You see, it is how it's distributed among sectors, and then its top holdings as it's of 228. So it has not been updated yet, but lots of big names in there. All right. XME, metals and mining, right? I mean, that's what's working. Strong uptrend, kind of sideways movement, may need, to let it catch up a little bit more, but very strong name. MP materials has 5.5%, and you see the percentages and what's being held in the ETF there. Next up is MU. Beautiful breakout a couple weeks ago. Lots of volume coming in. You see that performance. Now it's got the power trend going for it. So that all looks really good. John Deere, Bayer, Zoetis, Nutrien, IDEX. There's your Archer Daniels again, right? Let's just look at that chart by itself. Yeah, I mean, just a strong chart. Obviously, it's in all these. So why wouldn't it be a strong looking chart? But yeah, so there's all your, again, you're in CCF, there's Corteva. So lots of names and some different ones. So, right. So you've decided what is the right ETF for you and which one do you think, Tractor Supply and Kubota, which makes tractors, and John Deere is the way to go with the other ones? Or do you think it's a different way? Anyway, that's MU SLX, the steel ETF, just now breaking out. So I think it's still very actionable inside week. So I do like that a lot. Still probably in a buyable range. A little pullback would be nice to really solidify that, or maybe another sideways week or something like that. But again, looks really good. And there's your Rio Tinto, Vale, Nucor, Cleveland Cliffs, United States Steel, all these beautiful names in here. Steel Dynamics, strong grouping and strong chart. So steel looks great. And then the last one is going to be rare earth metals, REMX. Again, you're seeing how the outperformance is happening before the breakout, right? We love to see that, how it's starting to break out up here before the breakout over here. As far as what's in there, again, there's a bunch of international names in there, right? So you can see all the international names. So know what you're holding. It's weighted slightly, but it's weighted. So, but overall, you see is starting to outperform, breakout, nice pattern, big uptrend. So that looks great on that one. So that's REMX. All right. Those are my material names. And then one more is an XLRE, real estate. I liked one chart, and this is the residential sector. Again, maybe a little sharp up here, but look at this, just trending outperformance, looks pretty good. And looking at what makes up public storage, well tower, EQR, extra space, and so on and so forth. All right, so if you think that this chart looks good and you want to be in those names, I'm sure they all pay dividends and so and everything else. Go for it, right? It's pretty good. So there you go. Those are all the names. You know which one I want to look at is boats. Yeah, I had a rough week. It doesn't look bad though. Actually, I could add that one too. I don't know why I missed that particular ETF, but it held nice here. Still an uptrend. It may need some more time to work things out over here, but it looks pretty good. Okay. So let's talk about my favorite ETFs going into this week. Okay, I wrote down 5 as I was making the video versus PXI. Great looking setup. PBJ just now getting going. Good looking setup. Again, I don't love some of this distribution looks in here, but so far so good. GDX, again, just starting to get going, right? Just starting. It looks really good. VAW, same thing, just starting to get going. If it could break out. And then SLX, just broke out. Maybe needs to chop around for a week or two. Maybe a quick little pullback, close that gap, and then move higher, something like that. But really strong looking chart, and I do like the outperformance there. And then I am going to. All right, so let's look at Trader Sync and see how we're doing. So here's my holdings. I do own IXC. I did not add that in yet, and I forgot. I need to do that. And as you can see, that there's some names on here that didn't show up this week, right? Because some weeks are going to be off. Doesn't mean that they're not going up. It just means that their relative strength, for a week didn't make my list. It happens. And you see that these two, I was too tight on in the beginning. That's how I learned, right? This is new to me too, in a lot of ways. So I'm learning what works and how tight to be, and so on and so forth. Those are my holdings, and let's take a look at how they're doing. Moves in there. We talked about that. Looks great. PBJ doing good. What else is on there? IHF. Doing great. Again, just didn't make the relative strength for this particular week. And if it breaks below 277.40-ish, I'd be out anyway. IHF, what else is in there? GDX, I'm in. We know we like that one. I'm in GUNR. That looks really, really good. Cyber, no technology names made the list this week, but cyber still looks pretty good, right? There's no reason to take this out. Just XLK as a sector didn't make it, so cyber got cut automatically. It's just the way I do things, okay? But yeah, I do like this name, and again, as XLK comes back, chances are cybersecurity names will come back with it very fast. Clean energy, the QCLN didn't quite make it this week, but again, it still looks pretty good. I just didn't like the way, it was just, I want to break this down, this trend line right here. I do like I broke this. It is setting up, but I think the bigger setup will be a breakout of this area. I do own it though. So there's that. BOAT and XAR, BOAT. We talked about this one. It's setting up, not setting up, it needs to just move sideways a little bit, let these moving averages catch up. I did get the dividend on there. It was a nice dividend. So there's that. Again, if it breaks 33, I'd be out. But again, I want to see this keep climbing up and lower my risk. What else was on there? It was XAR, defense, aerospace. Again, just didn't quite make it. I don't know, it's the last few weeks it's been kind of in a downtrend. It's doing fine, just moving sideways. So it may show up on the list again in the future. Hasn't done anything that says to cut it. So I haven't cut it. And I'm still holding it. It's the way it goes. And the last one was IXC was on my list. I forgot to put it on Trader Sync, but it is there too. Hasn't quite broken out yet, but I do like the way this one looks, and it's a global energy ETF. Okay, so there you go. Those are the ones that I'm still holding, and again, you see, you see, everything. I'm pretty transparent in all this. Okay. So there we go. So that's my relative strength lists based on versus the SPX. If you're you work full time and you want to try to trade and outperform the markets, again, it's weekly time frames. You look at it every day and you may get freaked out because that's not what this is made for. It's made for weekly time frames. Now, you can then take that information, drill it down one more time, and look at individual names if you're a more active trader. That's what I do for tomorrow's video, which is stocks to watch. I'm going to go through all these ETFs, find out the best of the breed, and then present that tomorrow. Okay. If you missed State of the Market this morning, kind of talks about the health of the market. You can check that out on my channel and on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. I post all kinds of stuff all the time. So hope you all have a great week. Good luck out there. Let me know which ones you liked and what I missed, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.